Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Outside the Echo Chamber, a production of HD Media here in the Media Center studio at the Charleston Gazette Mail Building in downtown Charleston. We got a really exciting show for you today, and we're going to talk about a bill that was passed that has child care tax credit for employers who put daycare facilities or offer those services within their company. I'm going to meet with the Chamber of Commerce President, Steve Robertson, and Brian Dayton, the Vice President of the West Virginia Chamber of Commerce. But first, I have a colleague of mine, Senator Richard Lindsey. And Richard Lindsey's here. In case you haven't noticed, if you filled up your car lately and you went out to get some fuel, you've noticed some very high prices at the tank. So we're going to be talking to my Senator Richard Lindsey about the recent proposal that Dems want. It's Joe Severino wrote an article that says Dems want gas tax relief, looking to relieve the state portion, which is 35.7 cents, the state gas tax. Full disclosure, and my other hat I wear as minority leader, I came out and supported this as well, thinking that we should give relief to all West Virginians when it comes to suspending a 30-day suspension of the state portion of the tax, which is 35.7 cents. So right now, I'd like to turn it over and welcome my colleague, Senator Richard Lindsey.
Hey, man, how you doing?
Welcome to the show.
Oh, I'm happy to be here.
So this has been a hot topic. You know, we've got the Ukraine-Russia conflict, and no one wanted that, and we pray for the Ukrainians, but that's had a trickle-down effect here in West Virginia, and everyone's really feeling it at the pumps. And last week, there was a press conference with Democratic colleagues that came out and were asking for a pause in the portion of the tax that's state-funded, 35.7 cents. Mm-hmm. And you were one of those people. We stood out there on the lawn with the backdrop, and the Exxon pump, it didn't even have a price on it. Mm-hmm. I think it was blank. So, Governor Justice saw this, and he came back with a response, and it says, GOP gas tax suspension would do more harm than good. First question, do you think that this relief would be passed on to the consumers, or do you think it would just be absorbed, or what?
Absolutely not, and we have evidence of that. Hoppy, in his column this morning, had written that it wouldn't have made that much a difference if we did do it. But actually, if you look at Maryland, they suspended their gas tax for a holiday for 30 days. Before they did so a week ago, it was $4.27 a gallon. Now it's $3.81 a gallon. So clearly there's a benefit. There is no drawback. There is no negative. There is no reason why we shouldn't do this in West Virginia.
Well, the governor, he was very upset. he came out with a press release, I think at one of his COVID briefings on Friday, mm-hmm. Saying this was just absurd, this was ridiculous, saying this was just a political stunt. Mm-hmm. What's your response to that?
Well, I like helping people. I got into politics to help people. I think you and I both are in office to help people. And if all they've got to say is by helping people it's a political stunt, then I'll do political stunts every day of the week. This will make a huge difference in the lives of West Virginians. And what I took from the governor's press release was that he supports the idea. He just doesn't think we can do it. And I think we can, and I think we should do more. He mentioned something about the road bond and maybe eliminating it down the road and how it will have effect on our bond rating. Doug, as you know, what we're talking about is taking just $35 million from the $590 million. It'll be $1 billion by the end of the fiscal year in surplus that we have in West Virginia. Taking $35 million and filling the gap that would exist if we just suspend the gas tax for just 30 days at 35 cents a gallon.
So other states have been doing, I think, 22 states have talked about or calling their legislators back into session. How many states actually passed something? Do you know?
Well, I know at least two have, both Maryland and Georgia. And as your viewers know, or may not know, but Maryland and Georgia have Republican governors, Larry Hogan in Maryland and Governor Kemp down in Georgia. They've passed it and they've seen an impact. And again, what we're talking about here in West Virginia, just so people know, if we suspended the gas tax for 30 days, that's about a $10 benefit that folks would have $10 more in their pockets every week, assuming they fill up their gas tank every week. That results in about $40 more for the average person, and that may not make a difference to the governor or me or anyone else. But I'm telling, or folks who may feel like this isn't a good idea. But $40 more on someone with a fixed income, someone raising their grandchildren, a single parent raising their children. That makes a big difference in their lives, absolutely. And there really is. I've heard no reason, justifiable reason why we can't do this.
Well, I know Michigan Governor, Democrat Governor Gretchen Whitmer, she was calling on a suspension as well. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, he had been pushing for a suspension. Theirs is, I think, 26.5 cents. So I think we're somewhere, isn't West Virginia somewhere in the middle of the pack? I think we're ranked like 18th or whatever, highest state portion of the gas tax. We're somewhere around 18th highest in the country. Now, here's a question. You know, the governor pointed this out. Why wasn't this brought up during session? Why wasn't a bill introduced during session to deal with this?
Well, I mean, as you know, and I don't know what it is in the House. In the Senate, I think you're actually before us. But in the Senate side, we have to get all our bills introduced by February the 21st, this past session. On that date, a month ago, the gas prices in West Virginia was at $3.32 a gallon. It was before the Russians invaded Ukraine. So clearly, we're talking about a different circumstance than what we have from the past and what we have today. There's an urgency today. I had a conservative friend tell me that there's a young woman who runs on her daughter's track team that no longer will be able to run because her father didn't have the money to get her to track practice. So this makes a huge difference in the lives of individuals. There simply is no reason not to do it. And I think it goes to what you and I have touted throughout the session, even before this was an issue, finding a way to reduce the burden of inflation on folks here in West Virginia, working families who play by the rules, who aren't looking for a handout, but a hand up. And so reducing the sales tax, creating a ballot initiative for the minimum wage so people can weigh in on whether or not to raise the minimum wage in West Virginia, increasing the cost of living adjustment. This is just another way. If we've got all this prosperity, again, what's expected to be $1 billion in surplus by the end of the fiscal year, then West Virginia should benefit from it.
Well, Senator, you stated it clearly right there. I think so. What do you think happens next? I mean, you're asking now to have a special session and let's come and talk about it and then have people come together and see if there's some sort of fix.
Absolutely. I mean, either through the governor's action or a special session. And I don't, it's a red herring to say, well, it has to be a special session or it has to be through the governor. Let's just get it done. Let's get results. That's what the people of West Virginia expect. So either avenue, I'm on board. Let's bring relief to the people of West Virginia.
Well, thank you, Senator. You know, I know back in Governor Wise, there was precedent. I think Governor Wise, he halted a tax on when we had a bunch of flooding going on back in his early days of his governorship. He halted the tax on building supplies to make up for that. And I know Governor Manchin, there was a precedent where he stopped the increase of the gas tax during Hurricane Katrina because of the crisis that we had. So would this be passed on? I mean, do you think you talked about, would this just be a passed on tax, or would actual consumers see this at the pump?
I think, again, going to the example of Maryland, who's reduced their state gas tax for 5 days now, they saw an immediate impact. Again, I'm going to read you the numbers. Before they suspended the gas tax in Maryland, it was $4.27 a gallon. Now it's $3.81 a gallon. So clearly it has an impact. It's not going to be passed off to consumers. That's just another excuse without any evidence to support it.
Well, thank you, Senator. Thank you for being on. I know this is a hot topic.
Yeah.
I know you've been talking about it for the last few days, and the paper keeps covering it as well, too. So I thank you for being on the show, and we'll see where this goes. I know the last thing we want to do is continue to hurt the people of West Virginia, and anything we can do to give them a little relief. So
absolutely.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you, Doug.
Hey, we're going to take a quick break and come back and hear more from the other side. You know, we just had Democratic Senator Richard Lindsey from Kanawha County. We're going to hear from Republican Delegate Dana Farrell and see what some of his colleagues might propose.
Proudly advocating for workers and their families, the West Virginia AFL-CIO is a group of 600 labor organizations representing 70,000 active and 70,000 retired union members. We represent first responders, healthcare workers, educators, coal miners, construction workers, plant workers, truck drivers, grocery store clerks, and every job in between. We believe every worker has the right to fair wages, good benefits, and a safe workplace. That's what the West Virginia AFL-CIO fights for every day.
A new day begins, and what happens today must be covered, reported, and passed on to everyone in the region we serve. We are journalists, staff writers, editors, storytellers. Who are we? We are HD Media, trustworthy and always here for the times we live in.
What started as the Parmar Oil Company in 1967 has grown into 116 convenience stores in 4 states. Parmar convenience stores offer monthly product specials and grab-and-go items. Located just down the street from where you live, Parmar stores are all about being your above-par convenience store. If you don't have a Parmar store near you now, you will soon. Parmar Convenience Stores, neighbors serving your community and making life a little bit easier every day.
Here in West Virginia, we're known as hard workers, friendly faces, and people with a caring spirit. At Summit Community Bank, those qualities are at the core of all that we do. We're a group of experienced professional bankers that you've known for many years. We work hard to earn your business and will work even harder to help you succeed. We customize banking solutions that work for you. We're Summit Community Bank. Service beyond expectations.
Welcome back, everybody, to Outside the Echo Chamber. We're coming to you live from the studios here at the Charleston Gazette-Mail building, downtown Charleston. We just heard from Senator Richard Lindsey in the Democratic perspective on what we can do to maybe ease some of the burden at the gas pumps. Well, now we got a colleague of mine, Delegate Dana Farrell. Dana Farrell, welcome to the show. Kanawha County Republican delegate. Fourth year, is that correct?
This, actually second year.
Oh, second year. Okay. Well, yeah, fairly new.
First term.
You know, on this show, we like to talk about the issues. We take a deep dive right into them. We just heard from Senator Richard Lindsey and talk about the proposal, and they're calling for a suspension, or a 30-day suspension of the gas tax, which would be equate to about 35.7 cents,
right?
Anywhere from $8 to $10 per fill-up. So, your colleagues and the governor, they came out and they've kind of had a little different approach and a different response to this. I mean, what's your side of the take on the suspension of a gas tax?
Yeah, well, I think, you know, obviously there's some concern, I think, before we just jump right into it, because number one, it's a temporary fix if we do this. You know, you take it off and then you've got to turn right back around. And I know the headlines this morning where the oil futures were actually up, which means price of a gallon of gas is going to at least stay where it's at, if not even go up further over the next 30 days. So you're going to come right back into this. And so if anything, if you look at it, 35 cents on $4.07, I think is the going, or $4.09 is going rate right now. That's less than 10% of a break for the next 30 days. And if you look at it, I know for me, I drive a truck and I commute out of a suburb of Charleston in and out of town every day. And so I'm average of about $200, $50 a week or more fuel that I'm paying with that. But even at that, even if I be generous and say $250, that's at 10%, and I'm being generous there, that's about $25 savings that I would get out of this, I think, across the month. And then it goes right back to where it is. I think, and well, you look at this too, a large percentage of that tax that's paid, that's, I think it would be about $35 million for 30 days is what they've estimated on it. Would a large part of that percentage is paid by out-of-state drivers that are traveling. One of the advantages that West Virginia has is our geographic location on the eastern seaboard, so people have to crisscross through our state, and they have to stop and fuel up here. And as they do, they're paying that tax. So, and so if you take that money and pull it from another fund, the governor's contingency fund or wherever, that's money, that's West Virginia tax-paid money that's being used to subsidize that. So that's not a real good trade. So that, you know, I look at it in that sense.
Do you know what percentage of out-of-state travelers we have? I know you.
Well, you can give you an idea. The tourism department touts that there's about 5 or 6 million visitors in and out of the state a year, and actual licensed drivers, I think, are about 1.2 million licensed drivers in West Virginia. So you can see the disproportion there, you know, the opportunity. And I'm not saying it's the greater percentage, but it's a large percentage, I think, every day.
And one of your colleagues, you know, one of the issues that's come up is we have a lot of bordering counties. You know, one of your colleagues, Republican Delegate Gary Howe, you know, he's seeing a lot of people go over into Maryland and into Virginia because I believe their governor, Maryland, just signed a bill into law taking off they have 25, I think, and a half cents. They just reduced theirs, and then Virginia's considering the same thing. And his concern is people going across state lines and buying all not only their gasoline, but spending other money in those convenience stores.
That's certainly, and it depends on, you know, how long that persists, and I think that's something we'll have to address if that goes on, because, yeah, if you own a convenience store and you can look across the river or across the next interchange, and, you know, they can save 30 cents or whatever Maryland's is on the dollar, then certainly, they may go there, and then they're buying goods and services there as well, besides the gasoline. So that's something that we could take a look at, I think. But to say that we jump in and do that now, I think we take a look at, is that going to be temporary in Maryland? Is that just going to be a 30-day thing, or are they going to make that permanent?
And no one knows how long the conflict's going to go on in Ukraine as well. But 22 states are considering doing something. It's all across the board. There's 22 states, Democratic controlled, Republican controlled, and actually the majority of them are Republican controlled. I know California originally took theirs off, but then they couldn't figure out how to do it. Then they said they're going to give, I think, a $400 credit back to all the people.
But here's the thing, you can't. Those states, they can all talk about what they're going to do, but they can't sustain it. I mean, you got to look at you got to take care of roads. And I think West Virginia, we have the 6th largest or the longest miles of roads to take care of any state in the union. We've taken so many in. I was ball hauling. I was teasing before we come on air, ball hauling up a hollow yesterday with one of my constituents, complaining to me how bad that road was. And it's been 20 years since it's had any kind of major treatment or anything. And so the long story short is we have taken in more roads in West Virginia than we have the time, the money, and the capability to take care of. And so it's picking winners and losers. And if you start taking away money consistently out of the road fund, then we've got a problem on that end as well. Yeah. I think the longer-term solution, and you mentioned there about Ukraine, is if you look at the federal level, is what's caused the problem. I mean, fuel prices have went up about 90% or so. We're at 409 now or more since the Biden administration came in and started, canceled the Keystone Pipeline, put regulations on drilling in certain areas and territories that in the preserves and things, and all those things in and of themselves may not be what does it. But as I mentioned earlier, oil trades on speculation of what it's going to be. When you see that, hey, we don't have the opportunity to be self-sufficient, then that drives those prices up, and that was happening long before Ukraine. So I think some changes there in the policies on the federal level would take care of this for all the states.
Well, I think it's an all-encompassing. I think you got a short-term, like you mentioned. Maybe we do need to look at doing something so people aren't going across the border, and then a long-term fix. And I don't think anyone can argue with we need to do more to be energy independent of a nation. So
absolutely.
Can't agree. So, well, there you heard it right there from Republican Delegate Dana Farrell from Sissonville in Kanawha County. It's always a pleasure having you on this show and bringing a different perspective as well. So this is something that's not going away, and unfortunately with the Ukraine conflict, it's real, and we pray for all those people over there. So
absolutely,
we'll continue to work on this, and we'll see what happens and see where it goes from here.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
All right, we'll be right back with our next segment. Really excited to have with us the president of the West Virginia Chamber of Commerce, Steve Robertson, Vice President Brian Dayton, talk about some bills that were passed this year. They're going to have a huge impact on West Virginia employers.
The relationship between a lawyer and a client is based on trust. You have to make certain that the lawyer you hire has your best interests at heart. We typically meet our clients at the worst times of their lives, and it's our job to help them. Over the years, we've been entrusted with some of the biggest cases in West Virginia. That's because we have a track record of success and getting exceptional results. We've built a reputation as one of the go-to law firms throughout the state of West Virginia.
Joining me, high-profile lawyer Ben Salango. Ben, it's a real honor to have you on.
In fact, many of our cases come from other lawyers. Lawyers who've worked with us, lawyers who've worked against us, and even those who've merely heard of our results. We're proud of the reputation we've earned in the community for providing exceptional, aggressive legal representation. When you hire my law firm, you don't get excuses, you get results.
And Marshall wins another one.
I could take any of these guys one-on-one. Oh, really?
Oh, no.
For a limited time, ask about no payments till summer.
Friends and family pricing for everyone, even trash talkers like Wes.
A new day begins, and what happens today must be covered, reported, and passed on to everyone in the region we serve. We are journalists, staff writers, editors, storytellers. Who are we? We are HD Media, trustworthy and always here for the times we live in.
Looking for a friendly bank that you can turn to in your community? Bank where the decisions on your needs are made locally. With online banking and 7 locations. Poca Valley Bank, where relationships matter.
People keep asking me how Todd Judy Ford has the best selection of vehicles at a time of national shortage.
The secret is our 130% of Kelly Blue Book for your trade-in.
Everyone wants to trade the car with us and get more money.
And now we're making it even better.
We will beat any other dealer's trade offer by $1,000 guaranteed.
If we can't beat it, we'll just give you the cash.
So bring in that car, upgrade your vehicle, and get top dollar for your trade-in now.
Just go to ToddJudyFord.com and see for yourself.
Here in West Virginia, we're known as hard workers, friendly faces, and people with a caring spirit. At Summit Community Bank, those qualities are at the core of all that we do. We're a group of experienced professional bankers that you've known for many years. We work hard to earn your business and will work even harder to help you succeed. We customize banking solutions that work for you. We're Summit Community Bank. Service beyond expectation.
Welcome back, everyone, outside the Echo Chamber. Here we are live at the Charleston Gazette Mail Studios here with HD Media Productions. Hey, excited to have 2 guests with us today. President of the West Virginia Chamber of Commerce, Steve Roberts, and Vice President Brian Dayton. Welcome to the show.
Delegate, thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's
glad
great
to
being here. You know, you all represent, how many employers you represent now?
We've got nearly 5,000 employers within our membership all over the state, every county in West Virginia, and we're proud of them.
And we had session. We just finished up session, Brian. I know you were up there as government relations and everything, and we had a lot of bills that we accomplished this year. Overall, what was your take on the session?
It was a good session. We were very happy to see a lot of bills that we think are really going to improve West Virginia, make it easier to do business in the state, and help boost our workforce. So we give it a good grade.
You know, one bill, I think it was one of the top priorities, was Senate Bill 656, providing tax credit for certain corporations that have child care facilities. And we talked about this, Brian,
yes.
Earlier in the year. We talked about this. So tell me the posture of this bill and where it is right now, and it crossed the finish line, correct?
It crossed the finish line at a little after 9 p.m. on the final night of session. So not much time to spare, but it is now pending before the governor. We are actively having our members sign on to a letter urging his signature. But this is a good bill that we believe is going to help boost workforce participation in West Virginia. Child care, obviously, is a big impediment to many people who may want to work. So that's where this bill came from, and it will give a 50% credit for an employer who wants to start a daycare facility. And that credit would go towards the building, construction, furniture, first-year operating costs. So it's a very generous credit, really designed to encourage employers to put a child care facility for their employees at the workplace.
And Steve, is there that many corporations with 500 employees or more that you think might take advantage of this, or have you heard from them? Or
you know, we have good news on this because some of those larger employers have said to us, you know, this really could make a difference. This is something we might really take advantage of. And I'll tell you what I think is one of the biggest endorsements for this. And by the way, thank you for all the legislative support for this idea. But we've had national input on this. We've had people call us from other parts of the country saying, you know, we think West Virginia has really come up with an innovative idea here. We don't know yet whether this will work, but if it does work, then we're on to something. And we sort of created it here in West Virginia. The U.S. Chamber told me they thought this was one of the best bills that they have seen in the country.
So we're the pioneers in this.
So we've pioneered this.
Okay.
So we're actually very, very happy and very appreciative to the legislators for supporting it in such a big way.
I'm curious as well too to see how it works. You know, because it's affordable daycare, and main thing was getting employees back to work.
Yes.
You know, and that was the biggest complaint I think we've heard. Is that correct? Getting people back to work.
We always like it when we can come up with bipartisan solutions, and this is one that people on both sides of the aisle supported really in very big numbers, overwhelmingly.
What about with our larger population, like in rural? You know, what would this do, Brian? Have you talked about some of the rural communities are out there? I mean, how will this affect them?
Well, you know, what we wanted to do with this bill is we recognize that there are only about 117 employers that have more than 500 employees employees. So when we crafted this bill, we did it in a way that would allow multiple employers in close proximity to join together. So think your businesses on Main Street or all of your businesses that are located in an office building. We wanted to make sure there was a way for them to team together to take advantage of this. So we went into it with a mind that, you know, you can't do a one-size-fits-all for the country, but what's unique to West Virginia? And we think this bill accomplishes that.
So we have, you know, that's great that we're leading, we're pioneers, you know, and it's good, and I appreciate all the work the Chamber does in that. And we're kind of unique because we don't have a lot of the larger cities, you know, like the other states do. So I'm anxious to see how this works and proud to see that get across the finish line. So the governor hasn't signed it, or he's getting ready to sign it?
He has not signed it yet. Okay. It's one of the many bills pending on his desk, so we're encouraging his signature.
Hey, another bill that we took off the ban on nuclear energy. That was something I know the Chamber was supportive of as well. But I mean, what do you think the true impact of that to West Virginia means? Steve?
You know, let me start with West Virginia is an energy producing and exporting state. In fact, we're the 5th largest energy producing state in the nation. And we have long had a point of view that we need it all. We're good with renewables. We're good with nuclear. Of course, we support coal and natural gas because we have so much coal and natural gas in West Virginia. But the fact is that as we go farther into the 21st century, we're going to need more energy sources. We're seeing this in real time in Eastern Europe. We saw a number of the European countries go away from their energy production, and now they're in a bad place because of the natural gas pipeline issue from Russia. So we think that embracing the future, getting ready for the future that is to come is what makes sense for us in West Virginia. We want to maintain our dominance as an energy producing and exporting state, but we do not see really any threat from other energy sources.
Is there a timeline or prospects? I know this is kind of a timely process. Is that correct? When you think about this, it's a 5 to 10 year process. Is it?
We actually don't know. I think it is safe speculation to say this could. We may be talking about this 5, 10 years from now, or who knows how far out. But what we've done anyway is take our name off of the list of places where you can't do something.
Hey, Brian, you know, another bill that we watched was House Bill 4002, Certified Site and Development Readiness. Right. Talk about the importance of site readiness when we're competing with those other states.
Well, this was a great bill that we were happy to see get moving. You know, as Secretary Carmichael and his team are out pitching West Virginia to different businesses, it's absolutely critical for them to be able to say, and here's what the business you have, and here are the different sites across West Virginia that are ready-made for you to be in place. So we thought that was a fantastic bill from that standpoint, is making sure we have that tool in the toolbox. So it's been something we've talked about at the Chamber for as long as I've been there, and that's been about a decade now. So we were very happy to see this continue moving forward. Again, broad bipartisan support for this concept.
And Steve, as you know, there's so many choices they have out there where they locate their facilities, and you know we have flat land and we have a ready and able place for them to build. That always helps.
I don't want to miss the opportunity to put in a commercial for West Virginia, because you know West Virginia is the place where we can give you all the energy you need, whether it's electricity, natural gas, or whatever. We can give you all the water we need. We overlook the fact that we have more fresh water in West Virginia than any place else in the Southeast. We can give you the #1 most loyal workforce in the country. That's a measurable matter. West Virginians are the #1 most loyal workers in the country. And then great proximity to major market. You add all those things up, and West Virginia is a great place to be. There, I got to say.
There you go. You got your soundbite in. Hey, you know, another bill, Senate Bill 650. It's usually a controversial bill. That's the one that reduced the number of royalty owners when it comes to pooling with natural gas. Why was this so important to get across the finish line? And it seems like we've been working on this piece of legislation for years, Steve or Brian. Brian, go ahead. You know, why was this so important, and why was that needed? And you know, the other side is there still had some no votes out there on people that might be infringing upon their properties.
Well, you know, again, just to go back, watching real time the situation in Ukraine, it is underlying the importance of energy in West Virginia. What this bill will do is make it easier for, if you have multiple owners on the same tract of mineral rights property, to come to a consensus and say, yes, we want to develop that. Prior to this bill, there was a provision in there that you could only do that if there were 7 or more royalty owners on a piece of property. This takes it away and simply just leaves it to you have to have 75% of the ownership in agreement. We believe that's fair. It protects the rights of the property owners. But again, that bill deals with a single piece of property that is owned by multiple people. So it gets rid of an arbitrary provision that was put in there a few years ago and takes it just to a 75% rule.
And it seemed like this year was one year had a lot of different parties and entities working together around the table and made different concessions to kind of appease certain groups, so to speak, for lack of better words. Well, you hit the nail on the head. It's kind of the theme, and it's kind of a good segue to my last question. I can't let you let you off the hook without leaving our topic of the day has been this gas tax. And about 22 other states are considering doing something to ease the burden at the pump. You represent a lot of people, a lot of employers, all sizes. One of the arguments is, convenience stores or whatever, people going across county lines into other states where taxes might have been reduced. What's your take? Do you have any thought, or should our state come back and work together and try to come up with some way to ease the burden at the pump?
Our thought on this is that we're seeing an evolving issue, and it's very interesting to me that the issue's been put on the table. Why don't we roll back the gas tax? Of course, Governor Hogan did it in Maryland. We're starting to see it in some of the states that surround us. On the other hand, everybody wants to drive on good, safe roads, and the gas tax supports our good, safe roads. So we're not dodging the issue, but we're taking a little more time to study it and think it through. We typically have been proponents for lower, flatter taxes, but we're also big proponents for infrastructure. So I know it sounds like we're saying it's 6 of one and half dozen the other. The fact is it may be 6 of one and half dozen the other. I know you had a previous guest who pointed out we're going to pay in one form or another. On the other hand, of course, we'd like to see drivers get some relief. Now, our point of view would be that one way to bring down the price of natural gas is to drill for more of it and ship more of it. And as a nation, we can't give up our preeminence as an energy-producing country.
Yeah, I think it's an all-inclusive type approach. I think there's a lot of things. There's a short-term fix and a long-term fix. And a lot of the states who are proposing this, they've been blessed with budget surpluses. So to hit your point is, I think we are blessed as one of those states that has a budget surplus this year. And I don't think anyone wants to drive on an unmaintained road. So they would probably I think it costs to do it. It costs anywhere from $30 to $35 million per month for 30 days. So that would have to be backfilled. Obviously, nobody wants to see that. So, well, thanks for weighing in on that. That's the topic of the day, and I don't think that topic is going away for a while. So, unfortunately, with the conflict going on, we hope it comes to an end soon. But, hey, Brian, it was great having you on the show earlier in the year and being with us. And, Steve, always a pleasure.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for all you do here.
Great to see you.
Welcome back. I'm sure we'll see you again soon.
We appreciate you. Thank you.
We're going to take a quick break on Outside the Echo Chamber and come right back and we wrap up.
Proudly advocating for workers and their families, the West Virginia AFL-CIO is a group of 600 labor organizations representing 70,000 active and 70,000 retired union members. We represent first responders, healthcare workers, educators, coal miners, construction workers, plant workers, truck drivers, grocery store clerks, and every job in between. We believe every worker has the right to fair wages, good benefits, and a safe workplace. That's what the West Virginia AFL-CIO fights for every day.
People keep asking me how Todd Judy Ford has the best selection of vehicles at a time of national shortage.
The secret is our 130% of Kelly Blue Book for your trade-in.
Everyone wants to trade the car with us and get more money.
And now we're making it even better.
We will beat any other dealer's trade offer by $1,000 guaranteed.
If we can't beat it, we'll just give you the cash.
So bring in that car, upgrade your vehicle, and get top dollar for your trade-in now.
Just go to ToddJudyFord.com and see for yourself.
What started as the Parmar Oil Company in 1967 has grown into 116 convenience stores in 4 states. Parmar convenience stores offer monthly product specials and grab-and-go items. Located just down the street from where you live, Parmar stores are all about being your above-par convenience store. If you don't have a Parmar store near you now, you will soon. Parmar Convenience Stores, neighbors serving your community and making life a little bit easier every day.
Here in West Virginia, we're known as hard workers, friendly faces, and people with a caring spirit. At Summit Community Bank, those qualities are at the core of all that we do. We're a group of experienced professional bankers that you've known for many years. We work hard to earn your business and will work even harder to help you succeed. We customize banking solutions that work for you. We're Summit Community Bank. Service beyond expectations.
Well, thanks again, everyone, for joining us on Outside the Echo Chamber here from the studios of the Charleston Gazette Mail Building. Big thank you to the Media Center, Dan Shreve and Ethan, and our producer Maria Young for helping us today get through this show. Hey, we had a lot of exciting topics. You know, the topic's not going to go away. The gas prices continue to rise. So we're going to continue to follow that story. We hope to have someone from the governor's office here join us here shortly on this show this Thursday at 9:30 a.m. We look to have one of those employers who might take advantage of this child care tax credit and see what that real effect will be on West Virginians. Hey, feel free to reach out to us. Tell us how we're doing. Give us your comments. Give us your feedbacks. Outside the Echo Chamber at hdmediallc.com. We'd love to hear issues you'd like us to touch on, topics you'd like us to cover. We like to hear from both sides of views. That's where this show differs. We want everyone's opinion heard. Well, thanks again for joining us. This will be streamed, archived out on our websites at charlestongazettemail.com and heralddispatch.com. Feel free to tune in. Catch us on our Facebook page as well. And we'll see you next time, Thursday, 9:30 a.m. Have a great day, West Virginia.